time is now for humankind to change their ways, either voluntarily or through severe shock. The fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before this earth shall die. At night, they will think they have seen the sun. The question is, when the proverbial shit does hit the fan, where exactly might one find a potentially safe place to be? According to the Navy, Edgar Cayce, and several prognosticators and much criticized theorists, we look to the detailed maps of the predicted land changes based on geological positioning. All post-polar shift predictions are based on theories from leaked future Navy maps by Gordon Michael Scallion, Edgar Cayce, and several others.
When the Earth starts to settle, God throws a stone at it. And believe me, he's winding up.
Africa. Africa will ultimately be divided into 3 parts. The Nile will widen significantly, and a brand new waterway will split the entire area, from the Mediterranean Sea towards Gabon. As the Red Sea enlarges, Cairo will ultimately disappear into the depths of the ocean. The majority of Madagascar will also be taken by the sea. New land will begin to rise in the Arabian Ocean. A new landmass will develop to the north and west of Cape Town, and new mountain ranges will emerge above ground in the area. Lake Victoria will merge with Lake Tanganyika and flow into the Indian Ocean. Central and Eastern Africa's coastlines will be completely inundated by water. Asia. This heavily seismic region will have the most severe and dramatic earth changes. Land will be inundated from the Philippines to Japan and north to the Bering Sea, including the Coral and Sakhalin Islands. As the Pacific Plate shifts its position 9 degrees, the islands of Japan will eventually sink, leaving only a few small islands. Taiwan and most of Korea will be completely lost. The entire coastal region of China will be pushed inland hundreds of miles. Indonesia will break up. However, some islands will remain and some new land will emerge. The Philippines will disappear completely. Asia will lose a significant amount of its landmass through these dramatic changes. However, entirely new land will eventually be created. India. Due to extreme land buckling and the lowering of the elevation of the entire country, the population of India will be told not to seek higher ground within the interior of the country, but instead to head to the Himalayas, Tibet, Nepal, and possibly even China. To everyone else in India, they will most likely be told to head to the higher mountains that are officially within the India territory. Antarctica. New land will be created from the Antarctic Peninsula to Tierra del Fuego and east towards the South Georgia Island. Antarctica will become a fertile land and a soil-rich farming territory. Australia. Australia will lose nearly 25% of its landmass due to coastal flooding. The Adelaide area will become a new sea all the way north toward Lake Eyre. The Simpson and Gibson deserts will eventually become fertile farming land. Entirely new communities will develop between the Great Sandy and Simpson deserts. New refugee settlements will be created in Queensland. New land will also be created off the coast of New Zealand. New Zealand. New Zealand will grow in size and will once again join the land of old Australia. New Zealand will quickly become the glory land and ultimately one of the safest areas in the entire world. Europe. Europe will experience the fastest and most serious earth changes. Most of northern Europe will sink beneath the sea as the tectonic plate underneath it collapses. Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark will all disappear and ultimately create hundreds of smaller islands. Most of the United Kingdom, from Scotland to the English Channel, will disappear beneath the sea. Several small islands will remain. Major cities like London and Birmingham will be among the remaining islands. Much of Ireland will disappear beneath the sea, except for the higher ground areas. Russia will be separated from Europe by an entirely new sea when the Caspian, Black, Kara, and Baltic Seas all combine. The new sea will stretch all the way to the Yenisei River in Siberia. The area's climate will remain safe, leaving Russia to supply most of Europe's food. The Black Sea will merge with the North Sea, leaving Bulgaria and Romania completely underwater. Certain areas of western Turkey will also go underwater, creating a new coastline from Istanbul to Cyprus. Much of Central Europe will sink, and most of the land between the Mediterranean Sea and the Baltic Sea will be completely lost underwater as well. The majority of France will go underwater, leaving an island in the area surrounding Paris. A completely new waterway will then separate Switzerland from France, creating a line from Geneva to Zurich. Italy will be entirely divided by water. Venice, Naples, Rome, and Genoa will sink below the rising sea. Higher elevations will be created as new islands emerge. New lands will rise from Sicily to Sardinia. North America, Canada, and parts of the Northwest region will be pushed inland by almost 200 miles. Regions in Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and areas of Alberta will become the refugee survival centers of Canada. Most migrations in the region will arrive from British Columbia and Alaska. The United States. As the North American plate buckles, the new islands of California will be created. With almost 150 islands, the west coast will recede east towards Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado. The Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence Seaway will join and continue through the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. All coastal areas from Maine to Florida will be taken over by water and pushed inland for miles. Mexico. Most coastal areas of Mexico will be inundated far inland. The California Baja coast will ultimately become a series of islands. Much of the Yucatan Peninsula will be lost to the rising waters. Central America and the Caribbean. Central America will sink and will be reduced to a series of islands. Higher elevations will be considered safe. A new waterway will eventually develop from the Bay of Honduras to Salinas, Ecuador. The Panama Canal will ultimately be cut off, with no access. South America. In South America, heavy earthquakes and volcanic activity will take place. Venezuela, Colombia, and Brazil will be taken over by water. The Amazon basin area will become a huge inland sea. Peru and Bolivia will sink. Salvador, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and parts of Uruguay will sink below the sea, and so will the Falkland Islands. An entirely new sea will rise up to take over much of central Argentina. A huge landmass which will include another new island, will develop and join up with the land of Chile. In the event that these cataclysmic Earth changes were to occur, much of our human history would be lost to the sea, leaving our ancestors to have to rediscover our lost knowledge and technologies. Whether it be by some kind of cosmic event, like a rogue comet or a massive pole shift, the very idea of these new maps being a look into our future is quite unnerving. So now that we are aware of what some believe may happen, the next question is, when will it happen? That is the million-dollar question. Regardless of when, it may be a good time to learn how to swim.
You can't what?
I can't swim.
How old are you?
6.
This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching the Confidential Report.